Hey everyone, Leo with Dreaming Tree, and welcome to the assembly video for our Seashore double easel card. I've got all of my cutouts here in front of me, as should you. This is a pretty straightforward card, and I was just thinking to myself how somebody at some point is going to turn this into a Christmas card. But either way. All right, so here is the main base, okay? I'm gonna open it up and we'll start off by just putting this little panel inside. This panel is going to be perfect for writing your little sediment. Of course, you can always have your machine do the writing if you don't have good penmanship like I do, or if you're still into stamping, which I haven't seen a lot of lately. You can stamp or handwrite, whatever you want to do. And this is going to go inside. You want to try to maintain a nice even border all the way around. You got cute little scallops on the bottom there. And make sure that's nice and centered. Okay, perfect. All right, so we'll close it up. And we found this really cool pattern for the sky, for the front. Now take a look at this piece, whatever you decide to cut it out of. In my case here, I have a letter T, and you will too. And that is, well, if you're looking at it and it's not a T, it's an upside down T, that means you're holding this upside down. So make sure it's right side up, because there are a series of little markers to help you with the placement of other various elements that are going to go on this card. Okay, so this is going to get glued on flush to the front, like so. So we need to flip this around and apply our glue. Get that right onto the front. Make sure you've got the right side here. Okay, so make sure again, flush on the sides. Make sure it's flush on the bottom. It's going to be, if it's flush on the bottom, it'll be flush on the top. And then of course, make sure the sides are flush. And that turned out perfect. Okay. All right, so while we have this flat, we're going to add our flat elements just to get those out of the way. And then ultimately, we'll add all the other elements. Okay, so actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab these little bird cutouts. I'm going to find my other one. There he is. There's a small bird and a large bird. The small bird is going to go up on top first. Now this is a very small little piece. So when you apply your glue, you may want to just kind of dab it with your finger so it doesn't go smudging all over your beautiful background paper. And right here, you'll see there's a series of little markers to help you with the placement of this bird. Okay, so just pop that right into place like that. Okay, and we have a larger bird, and you'll see that there are 3 little markers there, 2 for the wings, 1 for the body of the bird. And I'm just putting a few little dots on this guy and then just hitting it with my finger to thin it out. You don't need a lot of glue power to keep this one in place. Okay, so just line that up with the little markers. Here we go. Okay, now these little markers here are for this large cloud. So you're gonna have 3 sets of, there's gonna be 3 clouds, the large, medium, and a small. The large one goes right here below the large bird. Okay, so go ahead and apply your glue to that. It's very easy on the glue, and it's going to get sandwiched in between these 2 little markers. Okay, there we go. Perfect. Okay, up here, between these 2 tiny markers, goes the smallest cloud. So go ahead and flip that around. Throw a little bit of glue on there. And pop that right into place in between those 2 little markers. There we go. And then off to the side here is the little markers there for the medium-sized cloud. So go ahead and throw a little bit of glue on there, and then just use those little markers as your guide for placement. Perfect. Okay, next, we're going to start working our way up here. So we have a little water feature. We cut that out of a foil. Okay. And then we have this feature. Okay, that's going to get glued on like this. So we're actually going to glue the water to the back of this piece so that's just that little bit is showing through. Okay, so this thing's it's pretty rigid. It's almost like it's not completely flat. So I'm going to unbow it a little bit. Okay, so we're going to put glue on the back of this piece here, and we're going to glue that right onto our foil piece. Now, I've mentioned this in the past. If you're using foil, know that it's not as porous, and I almost want to call it sticky as cardstock. So it may take a little extra time for things to set when you're working with a foil. Okay, so again, it may be easier to do it this way so that you can actually see the bottom here. Okay, I'm going to do my best to get that initially aligned, like so. I'm going to flip it over and just make sure that the sides are nice and flush, and they are, and then I can push down from this side. So this is what we're looking for here. Okay, so there's our water feature. Get that in place, and that actually held pretty quick. Perfect. Okay, next we have this little piece, and that's going to get glued down right here, like so, right on top of that. Okay, so we'll flip this over, and this is like a nice pearlescent paper as well. I hit this with a little bit of like a bluish ink, just to help it sort of transition into the water so it's not such a stark contrast. Just kind of bleeds into it gently. Okay, just match that up with that crazy little zigzag cut out there, right up where the water's breaking. And press that down. Okay, and then we also have, you want to find, there's a couple of starfish. There's one that's a little bit larger than the other. There's one that's a completely different color, and it's huge. That's for the envelope. Okay, for this guy here, we want the little starfish that's like the second biggest. Okay, and it looks like, for whatever reason, the two layers that make up this one piece of paper kind of split. I'm going to try to fix that. It's kind of unsightly. I'm going to glue this to itself. There we go. That was a quick fix. Okay, and we do have a series of little markers here to help you with the positioning of these elements. Now, one of the ends of the little starfish is the longest here. That's going to be on the bottom left. Okay, so just apply a little bit of glue on there. And I didn't really ink this one because it's such a dark red. I don't know if I could really do anything with ink on that. Okay, use those little markers to help you with the positioning. There you go. All right, then we have a little seashell. There's a few seashells. This one that we're putting right here is the largest one. And again, there's a little marker there to help you with the placement. I did hit this with a little bit of ink too, just to, again, create some additional interest and color. Okay, we also have a little rock that's going to go right here. Okay, so just throw a little glue on there. And let's get our rock in position. Just a few random little elements. And then another little tiny seashell right there. And let's take a look here. There's two that are almost, they're pretty much the same size. So just pick one of the two medium-sized shells. And then there's one super tiny one that will eventually go into another little section. Okay, just pop that right in there. The tail of the seashell is going to be kind of pointing down towards you. There we go. Okay, and now what we can do is we can take this now and we're going to glue it to the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to actually fold this closed like that. And we're going to glue, actually, you know what, there's still one more piece that's missing, I'm sorry. We have the little landmass that's in the distance there. We got to get that glued down. Maybe it's a nice little island or something. Throw a little bit of glue on there. Okay. And just pop that right into place on that water layer. And again, I'm putting it on foil, so I need to be super cautious here, not to goof up. There we go, that looks good. I need to give that a minute for it to set. I can also push from the other side. If you do that, be careful not to move it around. Yeah, and I had a little bit of glue spill out there. Probably shouldn't have done that. That's okay. Let me clean that up. There we go. Oh, okay, cool. Well, salvaged that. All right, so now we're ready to take this, and like I mentioned, let me fold this up, and we're just gonna glue this flush to the bottom, like so, because this part's gonna come out, and we're gonna glue one more set of items to that. So what we can do here is apply glue to the entire back of, in my case, it's gonna be the foil that we used for the water. Okay. Okay, and let's make sure that we're lining this up correctly. So yeah, it's gonna go this way. I wanna look at it from this angle though, just to make sure that I'm getting it lined up properly at the very bottom. Just kind of nudge that down, make sure the sides are all flush. There we go. Okay. Give that a good press all the way. There we go. Okay, so the majority of the card is done now, as you can see there. Okay, now we have this one element that we need to put together here. And this is the majority of it. Okay, let's start with our palm tree. Now we doubled it up as far as the brown layer goes, just to make it nice and stiff, because it has a tendency to want to kind of bend. Okay, so let's do this. Let's glue one of the brown layers to the other, and then once we get this glued to the other one, we'll glue it to the actual structure of the card. Just make sure you get that glue out to the very tip of your palm tree. And if we need to go in and just kind of clean it up and add a little extra glue here or there to really make it stick, that's fine. It's a lot of wonky, detailed area that we need to just make sure we connect correctly and as accurately as possible. I did a good job. There we go. Press that down. Okay. Very nice. You can see that that's already a lot more sturdy. Okay, now we can take the green element of the palm tree and get that glued down. As you can see, I inked this, actually inked the trunk of the palm tree as well. I inked this and I ran it through a crackle embossing folder. That's by Doris. Okay, let's get that glue all the way out to the tips of each of the palm leaves. And let's do our best to get this lined up. Each of these, even though it may seem like this is nice and rigid, they are kind of, they tend to and have the ability to kind of move a little bit independently from where they're anchored in the center. But that turned out nice. Okay, perfect. Looks great. Okay, so now we're going to head over here and we're going to take our palm tree and we're going to glue it onto the actual structure that's going to get glued on to this part here. I'm just going to kind of build this separately. Okay, so you can see where that goes. So let's flip this over, and for the fourth time now, apply our glue to the same sections. Obviously on different paper, but or on different sections of the same element. Okay, and I'm going to start up here. Make sure that the leaves are lined up correctly, because the rest of it will just kind of naturally fall into place. There we go. And this should line up flush on the bottom left corner. Press that down all the way through. Okay, there we go. Perfect. All right, let's see, and that is nice and sturdy. Perfect. All right, that's what I was hoping for. Okay, next up here, let's take a look. Let's put together our little Adirondack chair. And we've got a shadow layer, and then we have this little overlay. The back supports here are going to be pretty much flush on top of each other relative to the shadow and then this overlay. So that's what we're going to focus on when we're putting this down. Obviously, we need to put glue on all of the additional little sections here too, but that is going to be our kind of focal point as we go to glue this down. If you have any little areas that have too much glue, just kind of hit them with your finger, dab and spread that glue around a little bit. We'll flip her over. And again, looking at these center little back supports, I'm gonna hold it like this, using that as my initial guide for placement, and then everything else should just kind of fall into place. There we go. And if we have any if we have any loose areas, I'm going to use my little painting method. I noticed here that this really thin little cut right there is kind of floating in the air, and maybe I probably got glue on it, but maybe just not enough, and it dried up. So just throw a little bit of glue on there with my scrap and press that down. All right, so on the actual chair here, we have another little starfish, and I'm gonna throw a little bit of glue on the back of him or her, I don't know what it is. Okay, and pop that into place. That looks nice. And then we have this little seashell here. It's called a conch. I don't know. Again, I'm not really a beach person. Easel actually got me into the beach more than anyone has ever gotten me into the beach, but I still rather be in the woods. Okay, so there we go. Throw that in there. And then we try to, as much as possible, make little pieces like this easy to assemble, but in this case, we went with this route because trying to get a super thin outline in place would be even more difficult. Okay, so we're going to actually assemble the various sections of the shell here. This is the largest piece. It's going to be flush with the bottom, and what we're trying to do is just kind of create a little border around it so that in this case, like the light blue shows around the three sides. Okay, so next we're going to find the second largest piece, and it's going to go right here. And again, we're just going to try to maintain a little bit of that blue in between. So a lot of little details here, but again, that's why it's a Dreaming Tree project, because of the details. Okay, so we have two more little layers here. And again, these pieces are kind of small, but still manageable. I just literally have one little dot of glue there. That's going to go right above that previous layer. You know, if I can't work with it, okay, that one, I'm definitely going to need to use a pick-me-up tool because I could hardly see it, and that's okay. It's pretty amazing how detailed or how tiny these machines can cut now. But boy, they still can't cut circles. That kind of blows my mind sometimes, but either way. All right, so let's get this last one in place. This little last piece has kind of like a little point at the end. Just make sure that's pointing up. There we go. Okay, so there's our little shell. And speaking of shells, I just dislodged one. Okay, so let's flip this over and we'll apply glue to this entire element. This is going to go down flat onto this little piece that we're working on right now that has our palm tree on it. Go easy with the glue. You don't want any shooting out all over the place. And again, this is a relatively delicate little piece that does not need a lot of adhesive. Okay, so just match that up with the little shadow elements there. Make sure it's nice and lined up. Beautiful. Okay, and we have the smallest little shell that's going to go right here to the right of the chair. So I'm going to use my little pick-me-up tool for that. Way too much glue, so I'll hit that with my finger and dab that off. And just pop that right into place. And that is not lined up correctly. So I just grabbed whatever I could grab before this thing dries. That's fine. Okay, and we have a little rock. Hopefully I didn't lose it. There it is. Got one more little rock that's going to go right there. So a little dot of glue. Got a little marker there for you. Pop that into place. There's our little rock. We have another little starfish, and it's almost like a forced perspective, so it looks kind of wonky, but again, it's because you're looking at it from a low vantage point. Just throw a little bit of glue on there. And then finally, our last little shell. Just make sure that the tail of it is facing down so that you can make out what it is. Okay, there it is. And use that little marker, the set of markers there, to help you with the placement. Okay, and it's actually kind of angled to the left ever so slightly. There we go. All right, so that's it for this layer. So now what we can do is we're going to apply glue to this section here, and that's going to get glued on here, making sure the bottom and the sides are flush. And that's going to pretty much wrap up this piece, minus the little caption. But the caption we're actually going to, I'm going to pop dot that on there. So I want to, I don't have to do it right now while this thing's flat. Make sure you spread that glue out to the very edge here, because we want this to be very seamless up here. Okay, so I'm going to look at it from this vantage point because I want to make sure that it's flush with the bottom as well as the sides. Okay, you can actually put that down flat now and press that down. There we go. All right, let's see. So it folds like that. Beautiful scene when they open it up. It's going to sit like that. I need to fold that in a little bit. There we go. Okay, and you know what? I just remembered there was one additional piece for the on the chair, and I'm missing it. And this happens all the time when I'm dealing with small pieces. I just need to find it. I'll show you on the prototype here. You're going to need to put this in place. You can see here, right here, this is the prototype. There's a little rectangle that goes right there. Okay, so I need to find mine. I'm sure it just fell on the ground or something. I'll get that glued in place, but you're going to want to position that there. But look how beautiful that card is. Okay, and now all we have to do is put our little caption together. And speaking of captions, I need to do a calibration on my machine. But we have also included, aside from "See You Soon," we've got "Life's a Beach." And again, that's going to go, you can put that right there with a little foam square. We did a happy birthday, so this can be a birthday card. We did "Surely Miss You," "Making Waves," and "Seize the Moment." Can go right there. So 5 additional captions, including the "See You Soon." Okay, so that is our backmost shadow layer. And I'm grabbing the middle layer here, which we cut out of the same foil that we used for the water. So it's this piece here. Just has a bunch of little circles and such cut out of it. So you want to line that up with the back shadow layer. Okay, I'm going to press that down from the other side because I don't want to blemish the beautiful foil. And then we have the actual caption part, where you can really make out what it says. And for this, I'm going to use just a series of little dots, and then I will press on that. So for this part of the card, for the main caption that comes with it, it's a cut. For the bonus ones, it's a print to cut. Okay. This process of making it a cut takes so much more time. So the bonus content is a little bit easier to produce. And actually, I know a lot of you prefer it because it is quicker. Okay, less work. You can let the machine do all the printing and cutting. Okay, so just line that up as accurately as you can. And that kind of moves around. It's sort of free floating as well. And with the foil, it can get a little messy sometimes, but it'll dry mostly transparent. Okay, and that's going to get foam squared right on there. We'll grab a couple foam squares and pop that into place. I'm going to do 3 of them maybe, just to keep it nice and sturdy. And I got to find that little rectangular piece. I don't know where the heck it went. Okay, I'm going to put this down, and again, just position that right there. Let's see where that goes. It's a little skewed. There we go. And there it is. See you soon. Very cool little card. So I'm not exactly sure how you guys are going to convert this into a Christmas card, but I guarantee somebody is going to, and I'm sure it's going to be pretty awesome. So, of course, no Dreaming Tree card is complete without an envelope, and we have that for you here. So we kind of opted to do the same thing we did with the lighthouse and create sort of like, water crashing onto the beach with this. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the white element and we're going to glue that down to the blue. So go ahead and apply your glue to the entire white element. And I want to match that up so it's flush at the top and the sides, so that just that little bit of blue shows through. Okay, and press that down. Okay, and then I'm going to go right in here like that. And you know what I could do is I could maybe just hit this with a little bit of brown ink, which I've been doing on all of the sandy elements. Let me test this and see what it looks like. That is too red. Let me see where my other one went. There it is. Okay. So I want this to look nice and beachy. And I'm just going to distress. I got a nice brown ink on here, kind of a light brown. I'm just going to hit the edge of that, so it looks nicer. Once I get that water and the frothy water coming up to the beach. Okay, let me remember which color this was. I think it was bark. We'll try that. Yeah, I hope so. Yep. Okay, so now let's take a look at that. Much better. Yeah, I dig that. Okay. All right, so what we're going to do here is we're going to apply glue to this entire flap. Okay, and get that other piece in place. Obviously, stay away from the little cutouts, but try to get as much coverage as you can. Well, I guess you can't really apply glue to paper that's not there, so that was kind of silly to say. All right, then take this piece, scooch it right up to the fold, push it as far as it'll go, make sure it's centered, and then just take and bring it down and press, and don't let go. Let's make sure that's nice and secure. There we go. Perfect. I love that. I love that three-toned sort of effect. And then, of course, we have this little starfish here. And again, that long little leg on the bottom left so that you know how it works as far as the placement. We'll just throw a couple dots of glue on the back of this. I love this envelope, actually. Very cool little envelope. Okay, just pop that right in the center. What a cool envelope. Can't stop talking about the envelope, geez. I'm a weirdo. All right, let's get that out of the way. Let's bring these two tabs in, and we'll apply our glue to these two tabs. And most of this is, well, one side's already hinged, so this is going to be very easy. Spread that out, like so. There we go. And let's close it up. Just make sure these tabs are in. They don't have to be all the way in. And then as you press down, it'll just kind of fall into place. And just keep pressing down. Make sure that it's making good contact all the way around. Yeah, and that rectangular piece is nowhere to be found. So again, don't forget about that little piece. And again, it's going to go right here, flush with the bottom of that, over to the right a little bit, as shown in this prototype here, right there. Okay, so don't forget that. And keep pressing down on the tabs here. Make sure everything's making good contact. And there we go. Envelope is done. Beautiful card, and we're ready to go. So it's going to do it, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the assembly for this one. If you did, please take a moment, visit us on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. While you're there, hit the little bell so you get notifications anytime we release a new product, whether it be paid or free. And if you make this or anything from our latest bundle, I'd love to see it, and so would the rest of our community. So head over to your Facebook and do a search for Dreaming Tree Official. That's where you'll find myself and over 40,000 other dreamers that inspire us daily. So thank you again for hanging out, and I look forward to doing it again. Hey, thanks for crafting along with me. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, check out some of our other videos, and also please consider hitting that subscribe button. And don't forget to visit our site and check out our free SVG section, where we have over 140 free SVG files complete with assembly videos. I look forward to crafting with you soon.